Hello everyone, this is Tony. Welcome back to Alsace Wine Journey. And today I'm really excited to start my tastings for the Millesimes Alsace 2023 Digifair. This is a great thing that they are doing because it gets out the Alsace wines out to people like me who don't get to try them very often. And I think, again, I'm a big supporter of Alsace wines. I think they pair really nicely with Asian cuisine. I really enjoy them. They're really food-friendly wines and really underpriced and underappreciated. I really like what this organization has done for Alsace wines because this is kind of, you get to choose producers that I wouldn't normally get to taste. In addition, they also send you a couple of extra producers that you didn't choose that are kind of surprises. So that's kind of nice in terms of just being able to try things. And again, it's about opening up the world to Alsace wines, introducing the world to Alsace wines, which are really underappreciated. I think this is a great thing to do. I'm going to give some advice to Alsace wines as a supporter of Alsace wines. And I'm not trying to be critical for critical sake, but I really am trying to be critical to make it better for the Alsace producers and to get the wines out there. So I hope that if the wineries watch these and sometimes my comments are critical, it's only because I want your wines to get more noticed in the world. And I'm just trying to be truthful and honest as a consumer. And so it's gonna have to be the tough haul, which is consumer confidence, consumer opinion that drives the demand, that drives agents to carry your wines, that drives critics to follow your wines, restaurants to carry your wines, because all these years, sommeliers have loved you, wine critics supposedly love you. Why have they not promoted you more? Today I'm doing a tasting of Domaine, Vincent and Brigitte Fleith. So the Fleith family, Vincent is the 11th generation of this family, and he basically took over the estate in 1996, and he is all about letting the grapes speak, the terroir speak, minimalist intervention, like many Alsace producers, which is one other reason I love Alsace wines, because if you are a wine purist, then you should love Alsace wines. He removed all the synthetic products, pesticides, when he took over management in 1996. He put in flowers, dandelions, daisies, poppies, wild garlic, bees came back in, other insects to repopulate the area. And this is the whole idea, is that he made this not only organic in 2008, he made this what they call Demeter certification. And what that means is the grower used methods such as crop rotation, composting, and homeopathic sprays to cultivate the long-term health of the soil. That means that they believe that it's not just about the grapes, it's about the whole environment, the soil, the flowers, the insects, the animals. And you know, people that want to be environmentally friendly or again, they want to support organic, I don't know why they're not more on board with Alsace. Alsace is one of the most environmentally friendly organic regions you can find. Almost every producer cares about the environment, not only the grapes. So I think it's time for people to really kind of speak with their wallet. Don't just speak words, speak with your wallet. Buy Alsace wines, support Alsace wines. If you're one of these people that say, I'm a minimalist, I'm a naturalist, I'm a purist, I'm an environmental friendly person, buy Alsace wines. Vincent does as little as possible in terms of the vinification of the wines. He uses indigenous yeast, very little sulfur, no chaptalization, and zero aromatic yeast. So all natural. He believes that the vineyard is more important than the cellar. Let me make a comment about their website. And this is, again, I'm sorry that I'm going to be critical, but again, I hope that it's taken in the right context. I tried to Google around to get more information about the wines. Unfortunately, there's nothing in English. It's all in French. And I understand they're from France and they're from Alsace. But North America and also Asia, of course, Asia, there's Asian languages, but a lot of those people speak and understand English. And of course, North America, there's a lot of people that speak English. So unfortunately, I guess if you want to increase your market, I think you do have to do more videos or more social media in English. The website is nicely created, but for me as a wine consumer, very difficult to get any information. It's got a lot of nice pictures, but I really want information. I want to know the winery. And I think, in my opinion, the website needs a little bit more information. It's showy, but I need more information. I need to know more about the winery and what you're doing. I need you to speak in videos about the passion, and that's what drives people like me as consumers to the wine. I want to know the story. I don't need flashcards. I don't need that. I need information, and I found it very difficult to find information about this winery. You can't expect everyone to be a wine critic and to be able to travel to Alsace and know wines. I'm trying to figure out these wines, and the more information that I can get on the website with minimal research, the better it is for the winery, in my opinion. So the first wine we're going to drink is the Alsace wine 2021. And again, I think there was a missed opportunity here. There's not a lot of information in the Millesimes Alsace website. And I know there might be some constraints, but I looked at other wineries who had a little bit more information. So it would be useful to use that to kind of give more information. And I know that, each person is supposed to contact the wineries, but sometimes we don't, because of time changes and time differences, we don't have the ability to do that. So the more information that you can give to people, I think the better. So this is the Alsace 2021 Riesling. There's a lot of technical information, but that to me as a consumer is not as important. It's described as dry. There's about 4,000 bottles, but fairly minimal information about the wine. So I'm just gonna go from my tasting and see how it goes. So on the aroma, it's kind of off dry in my opinion. It's not as sweet, of course, as BC Rieslings, but it's got almost like not a tropical, almost a tropical fruit aromas. Not like tangy, not lemon, not citrus, but I would say almost like more tropical. As I'm smelling this more, it's more like a honeycomb type aroma. On the taste, I actually like the mouthfeel of this. It's got a little bit more heaviness than I would expect from a BC Riesling. And again, I would say it's more like a little bit, not as sweet as on the aroma. It's more now lime, citrusy elements to it. So I'm going to taste a little bit more of it just to make sure. I actually prefer the aroma to the taste. The aroma's got this sweetness that I really like. The taste is a little bit drier in terms of style for the Riesling. I still like the wine. I think it's a little bit more citrusy and lime for my, in the aftertaste than I like, and a little bit more peel, but that could be personal preference. But good wine, I like this. My rating, probably 87, 88 points, somewhere around there. The next wine is their Alsace from Steinweg, and it's 2018. So another Riesling. So it'll be interesting to figure out this. I'm assuming that because it's not just Alsace AOC, this is more specific in terms of the vineyard. It's described as minerally, and it's got a little bit more age on it. So on the color, I don't see a lot of difference in terms of the color. It's still fairly youthful in my opinion. But the smell is much different. It does smell like salts and rocks and minerals. So that's kind of a neat difference in terms of the aroma. Definitely there's a difference in the aroma between the two wines. And there's 6,000 bottles of this produced. I actually like this wine a little bit better. It's again off dry, so it's, but I like that it's again very consistent with the aroma. I find it is a little bit more, yes, minerally, flinty. I'd like the acidity to be a little bit higher, but I still think it's a really nice wine. I think it would pair really well with food. I like, so far, the two wines I've tasted right now from Domaine Fleith is that I like the clarity of the, it's not muddled. It's very clear in terms of the character. So I like that. It's easy to distinguish aromas and tastes. So I like that too. It's a little bit more on the salty, minerally side. Not as sweet, and it doesn't have that, whereas the first wine, the 2021 Alsace, was just a little bit more citrusy. This doesn't have that. It has a more, definitely more stony, minerally aftertaste. A little bit more tropical fruit than in compared to citrusy fruits. So I like this a little bit more. In my rating, this would be 89 points. Next wine is their Assemblage 2021, which is orange wine. It just says it's a blend of 3 grapes, and orange wines are big in the world. So really interested. You'll see my review of an orange wine on my other site, Trophy Wine Hunter. So let's try this one out. Again, it is orangey in color. So that's good. 3,500 bottles of this is produced. Again, very small amount. I will mention that he's only got about 9 hectares of land, so not a large producer. So he's got to be very careful with this. Right on the feel, I like the feel of this. It's got a bit of weightiness, so I like that. Yeah, and the aroma is very fragrant. I actually really like this wine. Very floral. I can almost smell the flowers that he's, putting in his vineyard, right? I can almost smell that, the daisies, the poppies, the dandelions, and I can smell almost like dark plums too. I really like the aroma of this wine, actually. As you expect with an orange wine, finish is a little bit more consistent with a red wine. So I see like cherries and plums in this. Really well made wine, actually. I think the balance is very good on this wine. I quite like this wine. This might be my favorite wine so far. But again, I'm impressed with the consistency of the clarity of the wine. It does show that these organic and people that kind of put emphasis on natural wines and not too much intervention, it does pay off. These are very clear, precise wines in terms of how they speak to people. It's not like, it's very distinct. I like that. Like all 3 wines are very distinct. Even the 2 Rieslings are very distinct. So I like that about the wines. But I'm really loving this wine. I think this is a really good wine. I'm going to give this 89 points, but so far I'm most impressed with this wine. I think it's actually very difficult to make good orange wines. And maybe that's myself, that I'm a little bit biased in terms of I don't know very many orange wines, but I'm really liking this. Beautiful flavors, nice weight, good acidity. So I really like this actually. Again, it's 89 points, but of the three wines, I think this to me is my favorite wine and the most distinctive. And the last wine is their 2018 Pinot Noir F, and it's described as spicy and strong. And I think they made a bit of a mistake here in terms of the marketing of this wine. So F stands for the Grand Cru Vineyard of Fürstentum. So in my opinion, although Fürstentum is not the easiest word to pronounce, you've kind of downgraded it by just calling it F. I know it's more hip or whatever, but it's a Grand Cru site. So I think you've lost something there. I would have just called it a Grand Cru because that's, I think in consumers' minds, quite a big thing. And to just call it F, I think demotes it a bit. So that's my opinion. So anyways, there's only 1,100 bottles of this produced, and it's described as spicy and strong. And I think there's a real opportunity for Alsace, with Burgundy wines being that expensive and the quality of Alsace red wines, particularly Pinot Noir wines, being so good. I think there's a real opportunity. You know, even very entry-level Pinot Noirs from Burgundy are very expensive, and I think there's a huge market for the Alsace producers who produce red wine to be able to kind of step in the market. I think they have to dial back a little bit of austerity, but once they do that, I think they've got a very, very marketable product. So let's smell this wine. So it does, it doesn't have a Burgundy smell to this. This has an Alsace smell to it, which is black cherries and austerity, like tannins, a little dry, little floral elements, but in my mind, a little too structured. It's not warm on the nose. It doesn't have that vibrancy and the fragrancy of the flowers. So, but I know this is stylistically Alsace, so yeah. So this is pretty typical for Alsace Pinot Noir. So I don't know what to say because it's very distinctive in terms of the Pinot Noir from Alsace. But what I find with Alsace Pinot Noirs is you can make them this way if you want to make them this way. But I'm just saying in terms of what the modern palate likes, I think it's a little bit softer. There's a lot of tannin on this, and it's actually pretty austere tannins. It's not soft tannins. There's a lot of kind of black cherry and plums, but not much else. So it's not, it's, I guess you can say it's distinctively Alsace, but I'm not sure if, you know, you should kind of move towards a little bit more modern palate, which is a little bit softer. But in my mind, this is a good wine. Well-made Alsace wines, and maybe it's, I just need to get used to the Alsace wines from Pinot Noirs from Alsace, but in my mind, it's a little bit austere, a little bit tight in terms of the tannins, and the fruit is quite tight. Like it's plums and cherries, but it's very rigid in terms of the fruit. It's not gushing, it's not giving, it's not voluptuous, it's not soothing. It's kind of just very static. And so, and that's what I found with some of the Pinot Noir producers. It's almost like a German style, an Alsace style. This is their style of wine, and maybe I'm not used to it, but there's a huge difference between that and Burgundy and kind of North American Pinot. So I'm not saying that I think you should change towards be like Burgundy, but that is the modern palate at this point. I think it's got to be if you would like to tap into that market, then it has to be a bit rounder. I guess a little bit less rigid in terms of the structure. Good wine. Again, pretty tannic for a Pinot. And the fruit is basically plums and black cherries, in my opinion. So in my mind, this is 86 points. But again, it could be personal preference. It could be that I'm just not drinking a lot of Alsace Pinots, and maybe my mind will change as I go through all these tastings. I thought this was a great tasting. I'm really happy I got this box from Domaine Fleith. Good producer. All their wines are quite nice. I feel that their wines are very distinctive. And again, I think you can tell from the wines that their emphasis on being Demeter and also organic has paid off. These are good, really good quality wines. I don't know the price of them, but I can't imagine that they're that expensive. And so I think they provide great value for the money. My favorites, my personal favorites, I was really surprised with the orange wine. So I really like that wine, the Assemblage. I think perhaps that was because it was a surprise, and I liked the other 2018 Riesling also. Hope you've enjoyed this tasting. Until next time, happy drinking.